Okay, all right. Here we are. It's Wednesday. Wednesday is the day of surprises. You know, Mondays has got a certain characteristic, and Tuesday and Wednesday is the day of surprises, but always good ones. How you like that? Okay, and next to me is Isabella Yanni. She's a partner manager in Cisco, CISCO. Fabulous company. And to have you here in our show, we are delighted. Hi, Isabella.
Hi.
It's
an honor to be here.
It's an honor to have you here. Okay, we want to find out everything about you and about Cisco. So we're going to call this Think Tech Talks. We're going to entitle the episode Cisco Systems Path, being the #1 IT company in the world. We're not kidding here. This is serious.
We're not kidding.
Yeah,
No.
okay.
Serious business.
So let's find out about you.
Okay.
Okay. At the age of 5, something special happened. What was it? Tick, 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 tick,
Well, I actually at the age of 4, I moved from Salzburg, Austria to Honolulu, Hawaii, where I got to grow up and go to school at Punahou. And I still got to travel back to Austria every year, but I basically got to start my life traveling between 2 of the most beautiful places in the world.
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
Are you still going to Austria?
We try to go
Yeah.
as frequently as we can, yeah.
Yeah.
We have family there.
The mountains, do you go hiking?
We do. We go
Yeah.
hiking, and this year we're hoping to go for the snow with our children. So
Oh, great, fabulous.
Yeah, it'll be nice.
Skiing.
Skiing, yes,
Yeah.
skiing.
Where's the ski resort? What is it?
Well,
They're everywhere.
they're everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
We typically go to a place called Saalbach in Zeglem.
Of course.
Of course.
Doesn't everybody?
Yes.
I'm not going to ask you to spell that.
No, don't.
Okay, and then after Punahou, there was Occidental College.
That's right.
Now, was it intentional or accidental that you went to Occidental?
If I had $1 for every time I heard that joke, I would have $10. No, actually, Occidental is an amazing college, and they recruited really heavily from Punahou. And I think there were 6 of us that went from my graduating class from Punahou to Occidental the same year. We had a lot of
That's
people
great.
from Hawaii, and it's a very small school, so it was great presence there.
What did you want to study there, and what did you in fact study there?
That's a great question. So I thought, because of my background traveling between Europe and the United States, that I was going to be studying diplomacy and world affairs.
Great.
That was my declared major when I started.
It's not too late.
I'm pretty sure it's too late. But I started on that track, and I ended up meeting these amazing professors in the Urban and Environmental Policy Institute at Occidental. Amazing professors, and I changed my major to Urban and Environmental Policy. That's what I graduated
This is
with.
very useful in our time,
It is.
especially in Hawaii. Oh,
Yes.
We could use this.
It's very useful in our time, and it's really interesting to transition from that to a technology company, and especially in the organization I'm in, which is part of the sales organization, and you think public policy to technology sales. Am I using anything? But I feel like I am. I have a good understanding of how our governments are run and the types of policies that can impact change, and that really does come into play in my conversations with customers and partners.
Yeah, so you've been through now 3 things.
Yep.
And they all touch each other somehow. They're all relevant to each other. And it's true. We live in a world that's like that now, so it's okay to start out with global diplomacy and work your way to technology.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm interested in the step from 2 to 3. How did you get from 2 to 3?
Which step was that? I've lost
That's
count.
the one that you got into tech.
Okay,
What drew you into that?
I think that technology is just so incredibly interesting. It's so fast-paced and dynamic, and in today's world, it touches every single thing we do. Think about going through a single day, even in this beautiful, natural place like Hawaii, where you don't interface with technology at least a few times a day. And whether it's looking up the surf report on your iPhone or logging on to look at what the traffic looks like on your way into work, we leverage technology in so many different ways every day. When I found out that I was going to be on the show today, I made sure to do a little bit of research, and one number really stood out in my head. In 2011, 20 typical households generated more internet traffic on a daily basis than in 2008, the entire internet did on a daily basis. I mean, if you think about how many devices are connected to the network today, not just laptops and your iPhones, but so many other things. Like, I mean, I got the Apple Watch.
There it is.
My husband got me
Can
the
you
Apple
hold it up
Watch.
to-
It's really, I resisted it
Okay.
because I liked my old watch.
This
but
is the $17,000 model.
no, this is the entry-level $300 model, I think. I'm not sure I know anybody who's going to buy that $17,000 model. But it's so interesting how much I use it now and how much information I'm getting from it, and also how much information it's collecting about me, which is kind of scary, but kind of exciting too.
I remember there was a file on the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
They never really did explain. And this file kept a record of your GPS locations,
Mm-hmm.
thousands of records of the GPS. It knew everywhere you went.
Yeah,
And if it
scary.
had been revealed to the wrong people, maybe your spouse even, it might be very embarrassing where you went every day,
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. And they said to Apple, "What are you doing this for? Why do you have this file?" And came back this big silence.
Yeah,
Nobody ever knew what or knows
yeah.
why this file. Aren't you afraid of that now?
You know, we just had this conversation yesterday about, aren't we afraid of all of the information that our interface with technology, what are people doing with that, right? And I know that there are extremes to the argument. Those people who want everything to be tracked and want all of that information to be collected and stored somewhere for future use or for current use, and those people who just adamantly are against it and don't want any of it. I'm probably more towards the side of being interested in what the data can show, because with big data and analytics, if we can correlate that data into something meaningful and useful to impact our lives in a good way, I think that's a great thing. I mean, I think we're innovating every single day in technology, and if we can use that to live better lives, if a meeting on my Outlook gets changed by 45 minutes at night while I'm sleeping, and that could tell my alarm clock to let me sleep in 10 minutes longer, I would love that. If it could tell my coffee maker to wait 10 minutes more so that my coffee's hot when I wake up, those are things that I think would make my life just a little bit better every day. So I'm okay with that.
But I get the feeling that part of being okay with that is a condition there. That is, you get to know the data. If I told you the model was that they get to know the data and you never get to know the data, you might not be as happy about it.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. Well, you know
That's a
what's
very
really
good point.
interesting is if you could get to know all that data, I mean, really meaningful characterizations of that data, you could program or you could hire people to program what you do about the coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
And then you could improve your own life. You have to wait for somebody to do it. You could do it yourself.
Exactly. And there are lots of tools out there today that can help you do that. And when I was thinking about, what are some of the things that communities are doing to use the data, because there's so much available out there, but we can collect more by putting sensors in the ground so that we can detect when a public parking spot is open, for example. And just getting here today, I kind of circled around a little bit. I thought, I wonder if there's any street parking. And I had the great fortune of going to Barcelona in March.
What, on the way here?
On the way here. I was on the way here. It was
That's
a bit
what
of
we
a
call a
detour.
big circle,
It's a bit of
yeah.
a detour. But with the program with Cisco, I got to go to Barcelona. And Barcelona is one of the leading smart cities in the world.
Really?
And what's interesting about Barcelona is that they've really invested in creating a smart city that serves the citizens, and the impact that it's had is incredible. So, and there are other cities that are kind of following suit, and there are these solutions that when cities invest in them or when communities invest in them, they make little changes that can make a big difference. So I think a great example is in Finland. I think Barcelona is one of the cities too. They put these simple sensors in trash cans. And the sensors are connected via the network, right? Via that Cisco network. And they collect data about when the trash can is actually full. So instead of the trash driver driving around their exact same route every single day of the week, right? And collecting, even if the bin is only half full, they use the data about which trash cans are actually full and a mapping app to make sure that they take the most efficient route possible, only empty the trash cans that are actually full. And in Finland, they were able to decrease their cost by 40%.
So we don't have that here.
But that doesn't mean it couldn't happen.
No, absolutely. So, okay, so I got the passion for tech, I got that now. But I want to know how you made the transition into Cisco.
Well,
It's not an easy company to find a job with, right?
that's very true. Cisco has an amazing program called the Cisco Sales Associates Program, and it's for recent college grads that have an interest in technology to go into. And, you know, my major was urban and environmental policy, so most of my peers when I started were communications majors or engineers. They have a sales track and an engineering track, two different tracks. And those of us in the sales track, a lot of people were marketing, communications, something to do with technology. And then there were the few of us who had studied things that didn't have anything to do with technology. But I got into that program and was really fortunate to have a full year of training with Cisco to understand our products, our solutions, really get to understand the technology really well, much better than I ever wanted to. And then from there, I transitioned into a sales role, working with actually schools and public sector customers in the state of Arizona.
Exactly?
Selling our whole portfolio. So selling them the networks and the wireless system so that students in classrooms where they might have one-to-one initiatives with laptops or iPads, so that they could have wireless access. And if a teacher in the classroom wanted to stream a video, think about what that might do to a network. So Cisco's networks are smart enough to optimize that traffic so that all the students can watch the video. Because what's more frustrating than getting a room of 25 children to calm down and look at a device and then the video doesn't work?
Nothing could be more frustrating.
I mean, that.
So, but no, Cisco, I mean, I remember Cisco is deep under the street in little switches or sometimes big switches, and the switches are in, I guess they're in places that aren't necessarily revealed because you don't want anybody to tamper with them.
Yeah.
And the switches make the backbone, and the backbone makes the internet, here and around the world. And that's it, Cisco, with a logo that looks like a bridge.
It is. It's inspired by the
Golden.
It's inspired by the Golden Gate
That's
Bridge.
it. Now, so what happened? Something changed in Cisco. It's no longer under the street. Looks like a bridge.
We're not just switching and routing anymore. I mean, we've really expanded into so many different areas. So we kind of focus in 3 different areas. The data center, which is so important. I mean, and 7 years ago, we didn't make servers, right? We weren't among those, and now we're leading the pack with servers, which is awesome. We've totally innovated how servers are built. And then
Your servers are different, better than other servers then?
they are, but we're not going to go into
We're not going to go in, we're not going to sell here.
Right, we're not going to sell on it.
Okay.
But the data center, and then we also focus on collaboration. So actually, most people would associate Cisco, if they'd never heard the name before, they might associate it with the phones that are on all of the TV shows that are on NBC, for example, or in a lot of movies, those cool phones and the really cool video rooms. So we have amazing, amazing video technology that helps companies be able to totally cut their costs for travel and have real life, face-to-face meetings over video. Life size, the sound sounds like the person to your right is really coming from your right, things like that. And the ability to share data and content as well.
Expensive.
Not necessarily. Actually, no, we've really, I think when we first introduced it, that was definitely the feel, and we had a lot of requirements around the room, had to be painted a certain color, and I mean, it was pretty extreme. And now we have these awesome solutions that anybody could buy and anyone can build and put together.
I got to find out about this. If I wanted to find, just before, we're going to break in a minute, but before the break, just satisfy my curiosity. If I wanted to find out about all the stuff that Cisco sells, the stuff that I did not think it sold, the stuff that way beyond the switches and the routers, where would I look?
I mean, Cisco.com is the easiest place to go.
That was an easy question.
That was an easy question.
That was a setup question.
Yeah, thank you.
And on that note, we're going to have a break, okay? This is Isabella Yanni. She is a partner manager. We're going to get a definition of that right after we come back. Cisco Systems is really a big, important company in our world and in our country and in our state, okay? This is Think Tech Talks. We're talking about Cisco Systems' pathway to becoming the #1 IT company in the world. On that note, we'll be right back.
Aloha, I'm Hunter Hevlin, host of Sustainable Hawaii here at Think Tech Hawaii. You can tune in every week on Thursday at 2 p.m. to see interviews with sustainability professionals from around the state and even further abroad, learning about activities with water management, food security, waste management, and a whole host of other fascinating opportunities to get engaged with making a greener island. So if you're interested in making the transition from consuming individuals to communities of producers, check us out every Thursday.
Aloha, my name is Josh Green. I'm a senator from the Big Island and the ER physician. Every other Tuesday, I get to host a show here on the Think Tech program about healthcare. We call it Healthcare in Hawaii. It's really enjoyable for me to bring other healthcare leaders from around the state to talk about our pressing issues. Hawaii has long been the health state, but we need to keep up the momentum, the inertia, and with your help and with your participation, we can come and share all of the big issues that are pressing day to day. Thanks for joining us every Tuesday, alternating weeks from 2 to 2:45.
Okay, Isabella Yanni, partner manager at Cisco, and I've decided to let her do the rest of the show by herself. I'm getting off this set right now.
Don't do that.
Okay, where were we then? We were going to talk about Cisco. And
You were going to ask about the partner thing.
I want to ask about that. We got a bunch of things,
Bunch
believe
of
me, on
things,
the
yeah.
agenda. This is a 4-hour show, but hey, what are you doing this afternoon? Okay, first we got something in the Twitter feed. I need interpretation here, but there's something that says, Think Tech Hawaii today at 1 p.m. Isabella Yanni talks about Cisco Systems, how Cisco Systems becoming the #1 IT company in the world. Got questions? Ask live via Twitter. Okay, then something on top of that. Maybe you can explain what happened there.
So I retweeted that announcement because I was excited to be tweeted, because I don't think I've ever been tweeted about before. Maybe I have, and I don't want to know.
enrich your life, yeah.
Yes. And I just said that I'm excited to discuss the Internet of Everything and the impact IoT, or the Internet of Things, can make for businesses and communities in Hawaii.
Okay, all right.
It's
Just
a
to
lot.
sort of
There's a lot there.
Sets the pace for us now, yeah. Okay, so the first thing is, what is a partner manager?
Okay, well, my career at Cisco, we kind of talked about it a little bit, getting into that associates program, and then I moved into sales. And I spent 5 years being an account manager, so selling to school districts and local governments in the state of Arizona, as well as higher education customers. And what was really cool about that is I learned about the why. Why are they doing things, right? Because nobody just buys a network because they think it's cool and they want to spend a bunch of money.
No, I do. I do that.
Oh, you do? Okay. Well,
I'm one of those people you were talking about.
I don't think.
I want the data even if I have no use for it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, and store it somewhere in the cloud on a Cisco-powered provider, hopefully. And so I went from that to the partner manager role that I'm in now. And the partner manager role is basically where I manage our relationship with our resellers in the Southwest. So Cisco has almost no customers that buy directly from Cisco. We sell them through certified, authorized, and specialized resellers who are there to help sell, but then also install, implement, and then follow up and manage and offer managed services around the Cisco solutions.
And these are your partners.
And these are our partners,
So
yeah.
you manage the partners who are the resellers.
Right. I help make sure that they are up to date on everything Cisco is doing, help them manage all of their certifications and specializations, and really help connect them, if they have something special to offer, with the sales teams within Cisco, so that they can go and approach the customers in the most
Oh, that's
effective way.
great. That sounds like a very logical, systematic way to do it. And but it puts a big burden on you because you have to know the territory and you have to know the technology and you have to know why they want it.
Exactly.
If they do know why they want it.
Yeah.
Then you can help them with the why they want it.
Well, and you're right, it's a lot, and it just means that I spend a lot of time studying and talking to people and mostly interacting with people and trying to understand what they're trying to accomplish and identifying ways that Cisco can help them do that.
So you like your job?
I love it.
I knew that.
I love
can
Cisco.
tell
I
your
love
eyes
working
are
for Cisco.
gleaming when you talk about it. So why exactly?
Well, I think there are a lot of reasons. The number one reason is the culture. The people culture is amazing, and the level of support that there is for a young, diverse workforce is really incredible. I've had 2 kids while I've been at Cisco and taken maternity leave, supported maternity leave both times.
Can they support you in that?
And have come back and still have a thriving career, and I'm really excited about that. Actually, if I can put in a little plug, I'm talking about maternity leave and surviving maternity leave with a tech career at the Grace Hopper Women in Computing Conference this October in
Oh, are you?
Houston.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where is that?
It's going to be, well, it's in a different city every year. So last year it was in Phoenix, and this year it's going to be in Houston, and over 8,000 women attend who are in computing. And we put, a few of us got together and put together a proposal to talk about it.
So you talk about the culture in Cisco and how to do it right.
Yeah, and also just some of the common challenges that women in the technology field face, and the realities of if you want to have kids and still have a thriving tech career, how you can do it.
And you can do it.
Yeah.
And you can do it.
And you can do it.
Wasn't always
Yeah.
us, but now you certainly can. You're
Yeah.
a living example.
So I think working for Cisco, the culture is an amazing, amazing, amazing thing. And also just our thought leadership, being part of a company that really does have such a great influence on the direction of technology and the impact technology can make on the way we work and live is great.
How does it work in a big tech company? I mean, Cisco not being the only one,
Mm-hmm.
where you got to have really creative ideas. You have to understand the world,
Mm-hmm.
and not only the market, but the world, where it's all going,
Mm-hmm.
what people want, what will really help them, how you can deliver, a product that will satisfy all of that. I mean, who thinks this stuff up, and and then what? How do you do to incentivize them and
Mm-hmm.
stimulate them to think it up, and how do you harness the product?
Mm-hmm.
I can have a great idea, but if nobody's listening to me,
Right.
it goes nowhere. So what is it in Cisco or other big tech companies in our great nation
Yeah.
that gives us this enormous, product, this production of
Mm-hmm.
ideas?
I think I can't speak for other companies, and I'm not even sure that I can completely speak for Cisco. I can talk about my experience at Cisco and what I've observed, but there is this great encouragement for innovation, constant innovation. And if you have a good idea, my thought is that our leadership, the leaders of our different business entities and those architectures that I talked about, data center, collaboration, and enterprise networking, they'll listen to you. And we have contests all the time internally
Contests.
about coming up with ideas, submitting your great ideas. And they're definitely, it feels like there's a great collaborative environment that is fostered when the leadership takes the time to listen.
Leadership right up to the top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Ooh.
and we have an outgoing CEO. John Chambers is going to be stepping down from his spot as our CEO, and Chuck Robbins is going to be taking that
He's
spot. I
with the
think on
company
July
now.
26th, he is with the company now, and it's a really exciting time for us. Really, really exciting.
Well, so if you wake up at 2 in the morning, and I have a feeling you might do this actually,
Mm-hmm.
with an idea, because you're familiar with, for example, the schools and how you can better, automate the schools and provide them really smart software and all. So you have this idea at 2 o'clock in the morning. This may have happened. Yeah? So what do you do with that physically? I mean, you go to the office now,
Mm-hmm.
and you have this idea, and it's burning a hole in your head, this idea. What do you do? How do you promulgate that idea so it sticks?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing you do, or that I do, is I turn to the people that I trust and who might be subject matter experts in things that relate to my idea. Because I want to vet it out first, and I really believe in this concept of shared leadership. My own singular vision of an issue or a problem to be solved is going to be very narrow. But if we can bring shared leadership into that and increase the perspectives that are coming to the table to impact the solution, I think it's always going to result in a better solution. So I go to my friends first, the people that I trust, and I say, hey, I have this idea. What do you think about it? Have you ever thought about this problem and ways to solve it? And chances are they have. So, I mean, we just start discussing it and trying to come up with ways to improve on the idea. And then if there is some type of contest going on or feedback session going on where we can submit the idea, then be prepared to take it forward.
And other people are having the same experience at the same time.
Yeah.
So there's this whole world of ideas out there pervading the daily life at the company. And so that sounds like it's really fun. Don't you worry about people knocking off your ideas and making your ideas their ideas? I mean, it happens in the world.
It does happen. I think, I don't know, my personal stance is that if the idea is going to benefit everyone, it shouldn't matter where
It's
it
okay.
came from.
They want to knock it off,
okay.
let them knock it off. It's
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, but I'm also not someone who's come up with any big money-making ideas,
No,
so
you
maybe
will.
I would feel differently.
I'm confident you will. What about another company? I mean, suppose you're having a glass of Pinot Chardonnay after work, and your friend worked for, I don't know, Microsoft or something, and he said, you know, I have this great idea. We're just talking about, we're trying to do some shared leadership at Cisco. Let me tell you about my idea. And he takes it and runs with it, and they make $1 billion billion on it. How would you feel about that?
I'd feel
How would Cisco feel about
I
that?
feel pretty upset about that. I'm going to be honest. I try to be very zen, but I'd probably be pretty upset about that.
So that's keep it in the company.
Yeah.
The loyalty and the sharing is within the company.
Yeah, and I think that's part of why we have such a great culture where you meet it. I think in tech companies, it's a wild guess, but people move around a lot. But in Cisco, I'm surrounded by people who have been there for 5, 10, 15 years and who just continue to live and breathe and love working for Cisco.
Wow, didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know, this is all a revelation. You know? I told you I met this fellow who handles elder law software for Cisco, and he's senior. Been with the company a long time, and he's been through a lot of personal issues that make this his special area. He's been very successful, very articulate. And he goes around the country and he tells people, hey, you didn't know this about Cisco, but here's what we're doing, you know. And it's, whoa, that's new. So, I mean, this whole remake here, it's not that old, and it's not all that well known to the ordinary public.
Right.
But, so part of the job is to make it known.
I agree. I agree. And one of the things that we've done as a company is bring in a lot of people who have lived in those industries that we're trying to impact and bring impactful solutions to. So we bring on, former doctors and chief medical officers to come in and help us shape our healthcare vision. Because, we're the plumbing, right? You kind of talked about that earlier, but our technology can have such a much greater impact than just being the plumbing.
Sure.
And we want to make sure that we're doing it in the most effective way possible. So whether it's law enforcement or healthcare or hospitality and retail, manufacturing, we are bringing in people who have been in those fields and been on the other side of the table. They've been our customers, and now they're coming to help us really round out the vision.
Yeah, so, but, you're way beyond just any one element of it. It's all elements. In other words, if you have an idea, you want to look at the hardware, the software, the connectivity. You want to look at
and all the other players. There are so many application developers out there who are developing really specific applications that can have a huge impact. And if we can identify those and partner with them to be on our network, then we can bring even more value to our customers.
Yeah, so it's, in this table, this studio, probably if we had a word cloud, probably the most frequent word would be collaboration. And collaboration outside the company, outside the box, around the world. I mean, your global training probably plays a role in that, as we want everybody, people in general in this generation, they want everybody to be in touch, and they want to make deals and make partnerships with everyone they can possibly touch with. I mean, it goes way beyond academic, because the business community somehow has got more energy, and you can play that game. But I want to get to your great vision without necessarily violating any shared IT. Right after this break, and I want to talk to you about the Internet of Things.
Okay.
I like to define it for the people who don't know it. I like to even teach them the little acronym,
Okay.
which is a strange acronym. And I would like to hear your thoughts about how much it can do for us. It is the big thing, and Cisco is really well positioned to do something with it. Okay?
I agree.
Okay, if you forgot, that's Isabella Yanni. And she is with Cisco. She's a partner manager. We now know what that is. Here on Think Tech Talks, we're talking about Cisco Systems' pathway to becoming the #1 IT company in the world. And this is a serious question. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Donna Blanchard. I'm the host of Center Stage here on Think Tech Hawaii. Center Stage airs every Wednesday at 2 o'clock, and of course you can check out our archives on YouTube or on Think Tech Hawaii anytime you like. Why should you do that? Because this is an arts show that I believe is making a difference in lives. We talk with artists of various ilk. We talk with painters and writers, playwrights, novelists, poets, sculptors, dancers, you name it, directors, actors, of course. And we don't only talk about what people do, but we talk about how they do it. And my favorite part of the conversation, we talk about why they do it. And it's really common on this show to hear people say, wow, I didn't think about it that way. And it's very common to hear people afterwards who have seen the show say the same thing. And I hear all the time that people are inspired by the conversations that we have. So why don't you join us and be inspired too? That's Center Stage on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock. We'll see you center stage.
Okay, we're here with Isabella Yanni, and we're going to remake the world with Cisco's help. Okay.
Yes, exciting.
So you're talking about Barcelona. Okay, Barcelona has it, understands it. Barcelona is on a trip to take take computer programming, take information technology, and remake it to society, make it easier, better quality of life for everybody. There are no exceptions. There are no prisoners. We do it all. That's probably what the mindset is.
Yes.
There's no exceptions, no exclusions. We do it all. So, and you pick up on that because you're in that frame of mind too. The Internet of Things means that everything in the world, everything is connected to the Internet, and you can therefore have data and control of everything around us. The possibilities are unlimited to the point where you can't even imagine all the possibilities on any given day. Why did Barcelona distinguish itself that way? What did it take? And I asked you about, Cisco. How did it get into this frame of mind? How did Barcelona get into this frame of mind?
I think that's such a great question because we had a chance to hear from the deputy mayor of Barcelona at the time, Antoni Vives, and he was such a dynamic speaker. And for him, it was really focused on the why. Why are we doing this? What's important to our citizenry that we can help impact through technology as a government? And the things that they faced are, their architecture is so well known. It's extremely old. They don't want to impact it by having to change things to accommodate technology. So we saw a lot of examples where they've layered the technology onto the architecture and it works. They had major traffic congestion issues. So they invested in putting sensors into the ground for parking as well as cameras up to help measure how much traffic was going on so that people could have true real-time views of what the traffic situation was and get routed a better way if needed. There are signs showing which parking garages had which number of stalls available, so people would just go directly there instead of circling around, which I could have used today here in downtown Honolulu.
We haven't figured it out yet.
Haven't figured it quite out yet. And the trash can example that I gave you earlier, that a lot of cities actually have started to implement, and countries even, they've implemented that there as well. So I think they had this vision of not of trash cans that had sensors in them. They had a vision of citizens being unhappy with how much trash was piling up in front of their doorsteps. And they innovated on how they could solve that. They could have just put more trash cans, right? They could have just increased the number of trucks driving around to empty those trash cans. But they didn't. They really looked at the technology that was available to help them make it a nicer place to live for their citizens.
It sounds like two steps. The first step is, and I mean, I completely buy into this, and so do you, and so do a lot of people we know, is that if there is a problem, technology can solve it. So, all you really have to do is figure out what the problem is. Right. Because to solve it, we can do that. Right. It's the first step. The second step is you got to change culture. And you got to change culture. And to change culture, you got to have leadership, whether it be shared leadership, as you described, or some person, one person, possibly a group, but a few people that you could identify who went and changed things. Did that happen in Spain?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Who was it?
I mean, it was the platform that the mayor and his group ran on.
Well, they ran on it for votes.
Was
Wow.
coming to bring important changes to the city. They have, so Barcelona also has an aging population, and they investigated different wearables. So we talked about wearables before, and one of the other interesting numbers I thought really stood out was, right now 99% of things in the world aren't connected to the internet, aren't connected to the network, and by 2020 it's going to be some mind-blowingly outrageous number, and it's happening more and more right now. But that aside, the aging population in Barcelona, they're very set in their ways. It has to be something that can help them without really changing the way that they live.
Yeah.
So they found these, I think they're like bracelets or something like that are connected to the network, that are connected to wireless, because Barcelona has citywide wireless.
Oh, does it really? And free.
And free.
And fast.
And free and fast.
I love it. I'm moving there.
Well, it's not always fast.
Okay.
Some of the areas it wasn't quite as fast as it could be. Probably just need a couple more access points. But in any case, it had, I think, there's something special about those bracelets that took measurements of the person wearing it, so that if someone fell, it would be an automatic alert. If there was if an elderly person was in distress, there would be an automatic alert, and they could get help faster, instead of the things that were happening, which is, you just hope that the neighbor is going by to check on that person, and that they would come across
That's
anything
exactly
that's
what
happened.
this Cisco guy I was telling you about does.
For elder care.
Falls by elderly
Yeah.
at home, so as to allow them to age in place and all that,
Right.
which is the best way to age.
Which is so important as part of the cultural norm in Barcelona, right? They wanted to keep the culture the same, but use technology to help people live better lives.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, we have to have that here. But before we talk about bringing it to Hawaii, which is the ultimate point of our discussion, how does the Internet of Things work? So how do I connect this, to the rest of the world and make this a data source or something? How do I connect? Physically, how do I connect?
So I actually don't know how you would connect a pen. I mean, there's probably some kind of something that you could put in it that would connect with Wi-Fi, right? With active or passive RFID. So maybe it would, and then inside it might have sensors on how much ink you have left. But maybe we could get to the point where it's digital, so you could write on anything. You could write on this tabletop, and it would capture what you're writing, not on a piece of paper, but somewhere on some kind of cloud app that captures anything that pen writes. There are pens like that today, right? That can do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then it can tell you when you're running out of ink, but that's probably not the more important thing there.
No,
That's not the more important thing. But I think the point of it is the creativity behind it. We have such a great need for coming up with creative solutions to things and just complete thinking outside of the box.
Yeah, but with the bottom line, A, if there's a problem, we can do it. We can solve it with technology. And B, everything is a possible target for being included in this Internet of Everything. With this huge expansion of the number of items in the world that are in fact included.
Yeah.
That's pretty exciting, because it's like you can't imagine the kinds of things, the kinds of solutions you can have until you can imagine how many fantastic things are connected.
Right.
And so it is a spiral, right?
Yeah.
It's an iterative spiral. And then as you figure out the number of things, then you can figure out the number of solutions, and everything changes, and it goes faster and faster.
Yeah.
Just the way Cisco has been growing the same thing. Okay, so traffic is one of my favorite things.
Ooh, yeah.
Because it's a big problem. And I drive down the street and they tell me that a rail's going to solve that problem. No. Technology is going to solve that problem, yes.
Yeah.
So here you are in Hawaii, okay, the land of Punahou.
Where I grew up in Hawaii Kai. I
Okay.
made that commute.
Yeah, you know about traffic.
Yeah, I know about traffic.
So give us some ideas.
So I think, there are a lot of apps today that people use. Probably people who might watch the show might use things like Waze, or they enable that the traffic is layered onto the map on their iPhone app, so they can see where the traffic is and take steps to avoid it. So there are apps today that can already just be used easily. to take it a step further, and I think about our HOV lanes, how we have trucks driving down the street to put down the cones to make the HOV lanes. I don't know if it's still the case on Kapiolani or if that's changed somehow.
I think it's still the case.
But, you know, I think those trucks they're on a schedule. Well, what if the traffic changes and we don't need that extra lane anymore? But all the people trying to go out the other way are confined to two or maybe one lane because maybe there's some kind of construction going on too. So with the use of cameras, physical security cameras or just cameras that are going to surveil what's going on and having some kind of application that can help calculate, you know, it's not a person sitting in front of the cameras watching the screens and saying, oh, it looks like traffic's dying down, let's move the lane back over. Not that, but you know, an automated process where it senses the number of cars that are in the lanes, and as they start to die down, that, you know, the trucks might be on standby or might have a window of time that they're supposed to go and take those HOV lanes back down or maybe bring them back up, whatever the case may be. So just having making data-driven decisions about what's actually happening at that time instead of having it be on a set schedule, regardless of what's happening in the environment. So just making smarter decisions about that. More the right data delivered to the right person at the right time in the most relevant way.
Okay, that sounds like something David Ige would say. Doing the right thing at the right time, and so, you know, but it strikes me that there's a lot of things that could work that way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you and I could sit, not on this show, but you and I could sit down and we could figure out a whole bunch of things that we see in the community, and we could fix them without increasing the number of lanes,
Right.
without any infrastructure physical concrete infrastructure
Right.
changes, without changing the number of cars, without necessarily reducing the number of cars on the highway. And we could solve the traffic problem strictly with this kind of problem-solving approach.
And using examples of other cities that have done it successfully, right? And talking to those people who went through that process and got to see what problems came up when they, you know, initially tried to implement a solution and how they solved around it. Because I think, you know, we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're doing something that's been done in other places.
Yeah.
Let's bring that knowledge here to Hawaii to help us.
Yeah, so
Have
many
less
things
traffic.
pop out. Yeah, you know, I mean, just for one thing, if I sit at an intersection and there's no traffic crossing,
And you're sitting at the red
I'm
light
sitting
forever.
at the red light, and I say, why are we doing this to me?
No.
Surely there's a way to change the light when there's no cross traffic. This is a small thing, and what would that cost? Peanuts to fix that, peanuts. I mean, so anyway, the hardware is almost inconsequential.
Right.
The software it's the thought process.
Right.
Where you identify the problem with the confidence to think that you can solve the problem, and you can. So my question to you is, why don't we do it?
Because we don't have the right, I don't know, we don't have the person who's driving that change and trying to lead that conversation, because it takes someone who is willing to say, this is something that I want to solve, I'm committed to helping solve this, and I'm going to be committed to learning about all of the alternatives, bringing the right people into the room who have the power to make the decision and really drive change around it.
Yeah, it's an attitude, a kind of attitude you describe in sharing the ideas and the IT and Cisco, the people who made Barcelona what it is today. The guy who ran for office on the platform that he would do this, that's the guy I want to find.
Yeah, well, I also think that going back to what people like me who work with customers can do is when we find that person within the organization, within the government organization or the school district who can make the change, helping enable them with the information that they need so that they can be the change factor within their own organization, right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to come in and do that for you. You know yourselves the best, but I can help enable you with the right information and solution.
True, even a private company like Cisco could
Absolutely.
come in
Yeah.
and empower people and bring the parties together. That's what you do, isn't it? Okay, now we know. Now we got it. All right, that's Isabella Yanni. Wow, what a show. Partner manager at Cisco, talking about how Cisco is on a path, and the path is to being the #1 IT company in the world. But it's more than that. It's empowering the world to be the Internet of Things. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll do this again.